Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. You know what to do. Like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artist. And I got to tell you, I am honored and excited today. I've got Clem Burke of the band Blondie on. Hello, sir.
Hi, Kyle. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
That's good.
Let me say first how fun it's been to dive into this brand new box set, Against the Odds. Looking back at you guys for 50 years, there's a lot to dig through as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for the super fan, really. Against the Odds, the title comes from the fact that it's really against the odds that we would have had this kind of success and be able to look back and reflect on it all. And coincidentally, it comes at a time when we've just completed a new album as well. So we're kind of like working both sides of the tracks at the moment. So it's kind of good. Instead of just looking back, we're looking forward at the same time.
Yeah, that's got to be an interesting thing, especially most people like to look forward and to have a new album, but suddenly you're like, oh, by the way, let's go all the way back to the beginning while we're doing this. Like, do you find that the two projects get to talk to each other at all in that way?
Well, of course, there's distinct influences within the new music that come from Blondie, from the members that kind of reflects upon the older music, especially the album we did prior to this new one called Pollinator. We regrouped in the studio and decided we all needed to be in one place at one time in order to make the record work for us and, create the chemistry that we have on stage. So we went about the same process again with this new album. And once in a while, there's kind of a signature guitar riff or drum riff or a vocal that Debbie's doing that might be reminiscent of something from back in the day. But that's kind of has to do with the style of the band in general. It's okay to rip off yourself. I think like on Pollinator, there's a song called Long Time, and it kind of is reminiscent of Heart of Glass in some ways.
I love that song. We played it a ton over here at FPK in Louisville, and I mean, it's still so many of them. What was my first thought of surprise when this box set was announced? I was like, wait a second, how is it that you all have not done this already? Like, it seems like something that you like a lot of bands. You waited sort of 50 years for this to happen, and I know time had to actually exist before it could happen, but why did it take till now to do this box set? Was there any reason for that?
Well, it was kind of initiated by our manager, Tommy Manzi, and he thought that being that there isn't one that exists, it was time to do one, and we were all on board with that. And Chris Stein in particular has always been a hoarder, so I had a feeling he had quite a bit of archival material to go through. So it took us a while to review everything, and then with the state of the world, it took a while for it to come out, which is another reason why it's called Against the Odds.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about listening to it, of course, is hearing that process, from in the early days, the way the songs come together. You've got Disco Song and Once I Had Love that eventually does become Heart of Glass.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you listen to them, because I'm sure you hear the work in maybe those moments, but you how did you all know that you had finally cracked these songs? Because in these early incarnations, for some bands, they would have been, okay, that's it, that's the song. But you all just kept working at it until it becomes what we know are these classics.
Well, it's interesting because there is all of the original demos that we did back in the mid 70s for a guy that was helping us, a guy called Alan Bedrock, who had a newspaper magazine called New York Rocker, and he was a big early supporter of Blondie. And so the Once I Had a Love song is included in the archival box, along with I think 4 other songs that really never did ever see the light of day, where they were never formally recorded, one of which was a song called Platinum Blonde, which was kind of Debbie's calling card at the time. And we've never released that officially. It's just on the demo. And I'm not sure why we never revisited those songs, but we certainly did revisit Heart of Glass, or the Disco Song as it was called. And it was really on the album Parallel Lines is when we began working with our producer, Mike Chapman, who kind of initiated us investigating that song a little more. And had we known what it was, we had no idea. It was, it's buried on the second side of the vinyl album, track number 8. So we just thought we were experimenting, at the time. It was kind of a assimilation of Kraftwerk and Donna Summer, if you will. We're all big Kraftwerk fans. And that's really the impetus to begin working with synthesizers came from.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys were always good at that. You still are good at that, but Kraftwerk and Donna Summer, I mean, it's funny that when we think back, I guess like pre-streaming days, even to a point pre-internet days, but everything is so genre specific, and nowadays it's less genre specific, especially for artists, for younger artists, but you always seem to fit in that category too, because like those are two so different things that we think of. Was that always obvious to you all that you weren't just a new wave band, you weren't just a punk band, you weren't just a rock, whatever?
Well, we were big proponents of experimentation and thinking outside the box, I guess, to coin a phrase. But the Ramones were fantastic, but they really did only have one sound, especially in the early days. We always kind of had a musical palette that was much broader than that. Whether or not we achieved it to its completion, it took a while, i.e. Heart of Glass, for instance. But yeah, we were always influenced by many different styles of music. I mean, I particularly liked bubblegum music, things like 1910 Fruit Gum Company, Ohio Express. Chris was a big R&B fan. We all liked Kraftwerk. We all liked the New York Dolls. We all liked the Velvet Underground. So it was kind of like a really melting pot of influences that kind of created the sound of Blondie. We were able to go wherever we wanted to go. And that's kind of how it was, for us. We weren't really particularly stuck in one medium of style, I guess.
Yeah. And like, who were you all? And we listened to those the 1974 sessions. Like, who are you all at that point? Because this is pre-punk, as we would have heard it anyway. And it's like, at this point, to me, like, you all are definitely drenched in your 60s influences during those sessions.
Right. And also, I mean, David Bowie was always a big influence on us. And I think he kind of informed the new wave punk rock in a lot of ways. I think even the people in the Sex Pistols admit to that. Everybody was a Bowie fan, glam rock, Mark Bolan. So there's a bit of that in the sound as well. And we were kind of at the midst of the kind of the breakup of the New York Dolls, and everyone was influenced by the New York Dolls in one way or another. And I think a song like Platinum Blonde on those demos is kind of like could be like kind of a female version of a New York Dolls song in a way. The lyrics are kind of witty, and the points of reference, are kind of like not the obvious, I think.
Yeah.
But we were just we were influenced by, like I said, the whole glam rock scene in New York City, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now the Bowie here over my shoulder, Bowie here over my shoulder, sure. Bowie here over my shoulder.
Yeah, our first national tour in the States, when the first album came out, was with Iggy Pop, with David on keyboards, when Iggy was promoting the Idiot album. So that was kind of amazing. We played 2 nights at Max's Kansas City, got into like a little mobile home, no idea who was driving it to this day, 1 bed in it, and then we wound up in Montreal the next morning in the dressing room, and David and Iggy walked in and introduced themselves, and it was completely amazing, So yeah, Bowie was a big influence on everyone, obviously.
Yeah. Do you find that you've got a I don't know, favorite era these days that you turn? Is it still that era that you turn to mostly?
Of Bowie?
Yeah.
Well, Ziggy Stardust, I suppose.
Sure.
Just an anniversary coming up, right? That there's a couple of good magazines out about the history of the whole Ziggy Stardust thing. We just played in Hull, Mick Ronson's hometown. They have a memorial to Mick Ronson there. Yeah, we were all at Carnegie Hall when David did the Ziggy Stardust show. That was very early on. We didn't know each other, but we were all actually all there. So there you go. You can see the influence right there from the beginning.
Yeah, just incredible. And I'll just quickly mention some other treasures in this box set real quick. I mean, you've got Moonlight Drive, that Doors cover right there. Were there any other covers that you all were doing at the time that just didn't make it to tape? Because that feels like that's one of those, like, you know, you're a new band, you play the cover songs.
Yeah, well, we did a cover of I Like Playing with Fire by the Runaways. We did Heat Wave very early on before I think Linda Ronstadt had resurrected and had a hit with it. Yeah, there was a lot of covers, things like that. There's an Ike and Tina Turner song we used to do. I can't remember right now the name of it. And we have an ongoing history of cover songs. I mean, you know, Hanging on the Telephone is a cover song. Our first kind of hit in the UK, Denis Denis, was a cover by a doo-wop, New York doo-wop group, Randy and the Rainbows. And then later on, Tide is High by the reggae group The Paragons is a cover. Right. So yeah, we used to cover a lot, like New York Dolls songs, Ramones songs, things like that, Johnny Thunders songs.
Yeah, just the ones that actually make it in. Yeah. Well, again, it's so cool to hear this stuff, and Mr. Sight's here. That's a great one as well. But you know, I wouldn't, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't just even more excited about what happens next with you all. I loved Pollinator. I really did. And to hear you all teaming, like John Congleton, is that who you're working with again on this one?
Yeah. We're the same modus operandi of Pollinator, basically. Yeah, everything's in place. And I don't want to call it Pollinator 2, but I think it'd probably be somewhat reminiscent of that. We're doing a cover, speaking of cover songs, by a very underground 60s New York group that'll be kind of surprising for people to hear. And you know, there's a lot of original material. We're doing another Johnny Marr contributed another song, Johnny Marr from the Smiths. And when we were on tour in the UK, Johnny was not gracious enough to be our opening act, our special guest. So we had a really great tour with Johnny, about a dozen arenas in the UK just recently. So yeah, there's a lot going on, all kind of synchronistically hooking up right now. And then we're playing you know, our hometown gigs this week in on the Wednesday and Thursday in Pier 17 and on the rooftop in on Fulton, where the Fulton Fish Market used to be. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting.
There's lots going on. You're right, and
yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment.
I'm hearing all of your songs and all the biggest shows right now. The Boys, Westworld, Better Call Saul.
All that. Like, yeah, it's incredible, huh?
Yeah.
Tide is High was just on Better Call Saul, right?
Do you find that you have, it's going to be one of those on the spot questions, I apologize, so it's fine if you don't have an answer. Do you have like a favorite, what we call the needle drop these days, like, you know, that movie moment for Blondie music?
Oh geez, well, I think these days I remember I think Hardy Glasses and Donnie Brasco, the Johnny Depp, when they're on the yacht with Pacino and Johnny Depp and Michael Madsen. I mean, that's an older movie now, but I think it's always on.
That's classic.
HBO or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the HBO the documentary about, not documentary anyway. Angelina Jolie plays her the model, and anyway, the opening is Hardy Glass. I can't remember.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not any help on that one either, but
yeah, it'll come to me actually, because the person the movie's about was a friend of ours, and her name is Gia. She was the model, Gia Jambodi. Gotcha. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's always fun just hearing, you know, watching these shows and suddenly you're hearing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sound of the band has kind of become like a part of the fabric of you know, modern day pop culture. It's interesting, you know, people know the songs, they don't necessarily know the artist. I think that's true of a lot of people, and then when they hear the songs, oh yeah, that's right, I know what that is, you know, for younger kids. And yeah, the legacy of the band is definitely the music, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's great music. I'm looking forward to the new stuff too, Clem. And then I'll end on this. Eurythmics are getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Are you part of that at all?
Well, I congratulate the both of them, and maybe, yeah. That we did some good stuff with Eurythmics over the years. Well, I was playing with them initially when Blondie was still going back in 1980. We made an album in Germany with the producer Connie Plank, who actually produced Kraftwerk, called In the Garden. And then we did a record, Revenge album. Then we did this world tours. And Yeah, perhaps. I played at Dave's birthday party a couple of years ago in the UK. That was fun, at Dave Stewart's birthday. And, they remain friends. It was a good time, Eurythmics. And I'm happy to see them get in the Hall of Fame finally. I did. It's well deserved.
Yeah. It's a good class too. I was just talking with Simon Le Bon, of course. Duran Duran's in there.
Oh, okay.
Talking with Neil and Pat soon. So yeah, it's a good class this year. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think so.
And I would be remiss if I didn't also compliment the Empty Hearts. I loved what you guys do as well. So.
Oh, right, the Empty Hearts. Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be some space for that in the future.
Band. I had high hopes for that band.
Yeah.
It's hard to say where that's going. We did 2 albums. The latest album came out on Steve Van Zant's label, Wicked Cool.
Mm-hmm.
The members, Elliot from the Cars and Wally Palmer from the Romantics, and a guy called Andy Babuke from the Chesterfield Kings. If people haven't heard those records, there's 2 albums out. It's good stuff. It's very much shows our roots of the 4 of us. Very 60s influenced, but modern at the same time. And Ed Stasium, amazing producer, produced the Ramones, Talking Heads, Living Color. Ed worked with us on both of those albums. He's an amazing guy as well. Yeah. There's a lot going on.
I'm sure there always is. Clem, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about it today, man. This has been such an honor.
All right, Kyle. Thanks. Everybody stay safe. Be well.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.